Good morning. It is Friday, January the 25th, and this is an unlisted video just for members only, and we're going over the crypto alert roundup. So, first of all, before I get going, how is the sound? Am I working out pretty good here? I see we've got a few people sitting there ready and watching. So, first question is, how is the sound? Do you have a cup of coffee or a big glass of water nearby? Because this is going to be a long one. Howdy, Fallon. Good to see you here, Lemar. Lemar, the boss. So, just checking in. Is the sound working okay? Is my sound good from here? And if you could answer in the chat if the sound is good, then I'll move on. Good? Thumbs up. Awesome. Good. Second of all is I want to ask, do you prefer to have this background of the city of London, or would you like to see the orbit of the Earth instead? You let me know as we go along, and I can change that background to the orbit of the Earth instead. It's really awesome. So the purpose of this video is to go over the crypto alerts that we have right now. And this is Poloniex. You can see all the green are holds, all of the yellows are alerts, and we have all of the entries, the trade type, we have the screenshot of that entry date, we have our imagined target of where we would take profits, and then we have our emergency stop loss that we hope we never have to use. But as we're tracking these alerts over time, I just take this written up as it is, that just like this, if it comes down to the stop loss, I take it and I put it into the closed trades box, and we just do it for studies later. Because this is all hypothetical, it's just a guide to help you get Earth. Good. I like Earth. So this is, the alerts are a guide for you and not, let me click back over here. There's my Earth journey around the Earth. There we go, Earth. So we have all of these alerts, and we have all of the Binance alerts here as well. Everything that's yellow is an alert. Everything that's green is a hold. And so I do have a filter that brings the information into the website so that when you're in the website, you see the Binance market alerts. So everything that's marked with an alert comes in here. And now, as of today, you can click on sort by date, and it works better so that you can go back and forth to see which are the most immediate alerts that have just been released and which are the older ones that have been hanging around for a long time. So one question I want to answer by going through these is, are these alerts any still good? And wouldn't you know it, just as we're talking here, right after we were discussing what was going on with HOT, it's pulled back a Satoshi or two. So we have our Binance alerts. We have our Binance trades. All of these markets, all these trades that are open. Some are at a profit, some are at a loss. And so what I've done is I've put together some spreadsheets of each of these so that we can quickly go through now and start to see what is good and what is bad and what's everything looking like. So it's going to be a long video because we have 44 alerts on Binance alone. We have another 78 trades open on Binance right now. 78's their holds. And so if I go now to the Binance wins filter here, here's all the ones that are winning trades. We have 44 winning trades. And if you add up all of the percentages of profits here, it comes up to 1,040% of profit, which is phenomenal. And if you go through all of the holds that we have right now that are losing trades and add up all of the percentages of those percentage losses that we're holding as an open trade that is still down a bit, that comes up to minus 195%. So if you had taken every single one of these trades, you would be up considerably. And there's more data too about the historical trades to add into this to say, overall, what would be the success rate. So this is just like a come and go tea type of thing. Please feel free to ask me your questions. If there's a specific market you want me to go over first, let me know. I'm recording this in a live stream format so that we can interact back and forth, and so that it is a recorded resource for those who can't be here. Now here is, starting off the very first one, there's an uptrend line that I put in here, and we can see that prices came back and touched against that uptrend and now have been falling back, which gives the impression that this is a top formation. One of our exit requirements is that we zoom into the 4-hour bars to see where does the moving averages cross over, and that would be our exit. Of course, we would have had an exit here and then a re-entry out of this little 1, 2, 3. So this is a little bit of whipsaw, which is one of the reasons that I like to trade by the 12-hour bar moving averages. Now, this will go on all day unless I have a structure to it. So I'm going to follow the website. I'm going to go buy alerts here, and we're just going to go through these as quickly as possible. And I'll just keep going back and forth. So first of all, AION and Ardor. Okay, it's this one is still an open alert, and there's nothing to do in it. It's a good one to be sitting back and waiting for this to come all the way up and turn up. So there's nothing going on with this one, but it is still an open alert. There's nothing to do with it. Now, this one actually did tag us in, and I've got to change this to a hold in the spreadsheet so I can show you the process that I go through. Go to the watch database, go back and go to Ardor, and I would change this to a hold just because theoretically that touched our price of 16.62. And I'll change this to green so it catches my eye. That was a simple trading plan entry. So if we go back to Ardor, it touched us in this wick up, and then it's pulled back. Our stop loss is down here for the sort of official emergency stop loss. Would you jump out of this trade now using rule number 1? This is always a question, and it depends on your risk control rules. It depends on your risk tolerance. It depends on the size of your trade. So if you're putting in 1/2 of your full trade, and your full trade is no more than 5% of your account, then for my own part, I've found over time giving it some time to move is better. You want to be in on this, but you know, the smaller a bit of a trade that you do off the beginning and then add on to it when you're correct, the better, the safer you are when you're doing these kind of things. So right now for me, it's still above the 1, 2, 3. It's still in the middle zone. It's kind of dangerous because of this big spike, but it's in our spreadsheet, it's turned into a hold. So this won't update here right away. I'll have to refresh the page, but let's go on to AST. AST. Let's see what we can do for finding something a little more cool for the Earth, because we were just over an Arctic area there for a while. AST is still looking like a great 1, 2, 3 bottom. It's still building up. We've got the entry point quite a ways up above the market, still way back from here. And what was the date on that trade? AST from the 19th. Okay. Next one is basic attention token, which is a buy signal at 37.59. So this one's still good, but gotta wait. It's good to wait. Could move it in closer. What did I say for the buy signal on this one? For basic attention token, 37.59. 37.59. And it's not at 37.59 yet. I had purchased in right at that arrow though from my own trading. But 37.59 for our trading plan, where we're waiting for the moving averages to cross. We're waiting for it to show us that it's actually doing it, not risking it as a gamble right at the very bottom. That's sort of a swing trade. And I guess I can add that into our data later and talk more about swing trades, because I do them. They're sometimes the best moment to enter. So at any rate, this is, if you're interested in a swing trade, this would be the time right now even to put on a trade in the market, and you know that you've got such a very small range that if it goes down to these weakened areas, you just dump it, you get out. So you could put on a small bit of your trade, and if it comes up in here and retests it, then you could be adding on to your trade, and you've got your position and you're set in something that really has made some big moves. It's really dramatically changing the usership of browsers online. It's going to be a huge, very targeted advertising platform. It will do well. So any of these things is like buying into Google way at the beginning, I think. So this is still a good one. Okay, I want to take this sheet out of the way so I stop going back and forth to it. There's our 4, where Bitcoin is just showing a bit of weakness suddenly. Ethereum is showing a good blast up here this morning. Litecoin has showed a blast up yesterday and has pulled back a bit. Completely difficult to get a fix on what is actually going. Zoom out to the 1 hour view of each of these. And Litecoin's got a nice bowl shape formation going on here. We have a descending wedge triangle with a bit more volume at the end, and it's not negative dumping volume, but Stellar has dropped off to some really key levels. Bitcoin is still holding on here, still the littlest bit of an uptrend feeling to it, so it's hanging on the edge. It's amazing how long it's kept on the edge as we're going through these things. So as I'm watching these formations, I'm also checking to see which ones are, you know, showing us that the market is failing and going down further yet. Next one we're looking at is BCPT and then BRD. BCPT. Hold my control key while I click on that so it opens in a new tab. And we're looking for above this triangle formation that appeared earlier. So this probably would have tagged us in. Would have, let's see, 1188. That's more the kind of thing I would draw on that. So let's see what we actually were looking at. Whoops. 1211. Let's see if that saved our butt or not. No, 1211. We would have got tagged in. Look how close I was to redrawing the very same thing. So this would have been as I'm watching it, and I say, okay, this is an alert. It's out there. I'm watching it, and as I'm seeing the market come off of this descending wedge triangle and blasting up that quickly, I'm really suspect as prices are right at these levels. And I don't know how quickly prices stayed at those levels. So it staged up twice. I would have tagged you in, and you might have been very excited to be getting in at that 12.11 right there. But it was right at the very edge of the top, so it didn't stay there for more than a minute before it started coming down. So it did not blast through and prove us correct. And as it's starting to do this as I'm first put on the trade, I would be dumping it. I would be just getting out of that trade. It's obviously not proving me correct. I got in at the end of a couple big blasts. And so it's not generally what I would be approving as a trade as I came up to that alert. And I was looking at it going, it's just not fitting all of my criteria at the moment of that alert. And so this is the kind of spot that I like better. And when I see it consolidating like that, then I'm more prone to be wanting to put on a position as it's consolidating. And this is what we did in Link trade earlier that really did fantastic. As it was coming to this consolidation, and I know the alert is hovering, then I'm more prepared. So anyway, there's a bit of a study on that trade. Now I have to go back to the spreadsheet and look at BCPT. I'm going to turn it into a hold in our spreadsheet so that we can study that again later with all of the winning and losing trades just right from the prediction. And our stop loss is at 907. So I think we got killed on that. You bet. Already, so in there and stopped out. Already. So this is the danger of when to put on that trade. If you're just blindly following the alerts, got to zoom out to the 1 week view so I can get. If you're just blindly following the alerts, this is exactly what has been happening over and over again, because it is a pre-written plan and not being personally executed as the trade comes into being. And look at that, just the worst combination of right up and slammed right back down. So this is why you've got to be there to drive the car when you're merging onto the freeway, basically. I can tell you which freeway exit might be the best one to turn onto and when, but you got to be there driving the car. Otherwise, you're killed with slammed into losses. And then the market's going to be taking off without you, because it's now making that consolidation. The ones that I was pointing out earlier, now it's making a great consolidation that is building up into being another entry. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I got to bring this back over. Copy that whole trade, and then I go to Binance closed, and I paste that whole trade in there. Since it hit our stop loss, I'm going to put that right in. And today is January 25th. Now I got a bit of extra data here that I will delete, reset. Oops. I need this number. Minus 25%. 25% loss right there. $25 loss. Was that a wicked in? stopped out on retrace. So this is a fake out breakout. Retracement. Okay, whatever. Terrible trade. And they happen a lot when you're trading blindly, just setting it up and then leaving it go. They're not self-driven, these trades. These trade alerts. So now we're back to the watch thing, and I'm going to clear this, edit, delete values, reset. I'm going to put it back as an alert, and it's going to be a springboard trade alert. The date, I've got to copy and paste that differently now. Change it to today's date, the 25th. Now let's set up our target entry and exits for this. I'll clear all that off. Move back to the 3-month view. So again, this is going to require a driver to finish the rest of this route. So these are the most basic. We have the moving average crossover. Kind of broke it down trend line. It's not a great 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, but because it's a descending triangle like this and now giving us this formation, this is a springboard trade entry, especially as prices, when we zoom in, we see them consolidating nicely here. This would be the earliest time for us to be able to catch a spot on this trade. And technical levels right down to here, that's where everybody else will have their stop losses. So I want to be a bit below that and give it that much room. And so the stop loss is at 830. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 831, I'll say. And our entry now, pull back a little bit. $10.13 and $14.77. And that fills out our spreadsheet with 45% expected profit if it goes up to $14.77. The last thing to do now is to take a screenshot of this and put it into the spreadsheet. And that will be now updated in the website with today's date. And then I just manually change the color for my own use here. But I'm not going to refresh the page. We're going to continue on with where we left off here. Bird, or BRD, cloak. BRD, pardon me. Very close, and I think it's going to go somewhere. Look at all these green candles of buying. So somebody's absorbing this stuff, and we got an order in there waiting for it to come up above. Some other bad news about it is it's been delisted from other exchanges, but who knows? The chart pattern looks good. Now I got to move this back out of the way, so I stop clicking on it. And back over here now to cloak is next. Looking good, still building up. We still see this massive bottom formation since August the 13th, all the way along completely sideways. Lots of candles of people buying up stuff. So for me, it's like time to buy and just sit on your hands. Like all of the evidence has been there for months on, and this is just another example of it. CND and then decreed. So it's still a good. There's another good one. It's still a nice bottom from all the way along here. Fantastic. It's good to be ready for it. And just gotta wait. This is the hardest part. So here we have a nice bottom formation and some nice triangles, candles coming up to the same height all the time and then being the buying stops. So I do believe this one's going to do some amazing stuff as well, but nothing yet. It's still in the alerts, and it should be, but there's still nothing going on with it. So then we have DGD, ELF, EVX. DGD. Look at this. Another one with great buying candles. Nice bowl-shaped formation. We have the ascending wedge triangle, and then it all pulled back. Now it's coming up to these levels again, and I like that formation because it shows that the money is buying away all of the resistance up above, and then the people are selling out. Then it comes up to here, and they're buying out everybody who was stung before, and then the buying stops. Then the buying starts again and buys right up to everybody's edges. Then they're all sold down as the buying stops, and people who were stung before are just giving up. They're selling their stuff. And then these big buy candles show that, to me, it shows that there's a whole bunch of sell orders building up above the market, and somebody who wants that stuff buys it and then stops, and they just wait until the sell orders build up above the market again, and he buys. So when this finally does break, it's going above some important support and resistance, and this pattern looks really good. And I think it's tied to world metals, and world metals are on the rise right now, coming out of huge bottom formations, and that would just make sense that the two of them, if they're married together, this should have effect from the metals world. So it's a favorite market. And I can't mark it as any different here to say which one is more favorite than others. ELF, EVX, but this is, I'm going through this stuff. And okay, ELF, I got such a short-term memory, such an auditory memory. So I'm going through all these alerts so that you can talk your way through them. This one is good, but not as favorable as some of the others that have hit the August bottoms, stayed at the September, October bottoms, and then in November, they didn't dive lower. They stayed at these levels. Those are the more strong coins to me. This one came down. Look at the volume increasing in the trading. That's good. And now it's created a 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, the new number 3, but didn't break the number 1. That's very good. Now we see the ascending triangles and buying up more of those coins that are being dumped off, that are sitting up above the market. So this one would be a buy if it were to break above these levels. And again, it's done such a job of pump and fail back that you may want to establish a position with $10, just a small amount of money, and give it the time to come back up and make that into $20 before you're adding on your next bit of money, and really start small but have a position in it. Then you can be looking at it from this time frame where those little moves up and down don't look like very much. When I zoom into this time frame, this looks huge. It looks like there's all sorts of opportunity here, when in reality there isn't. It's hardly a blip. When we start to look at it in the larger scale of things, there's nothing going on here. Just establish a position and sit back and wait like the big guys. But it's a good alert still. So each alert has its own flavor, and a few of them I'm liking so much, like ELF, like DGD. I'm going to leave that open. ELF now. EVX is where we are next. Oh, right. EVX is really looking great. I like this. Huge candles to the upside. All this big green buying, and then it's consolidated back down nicely. You can see I've just recently put this trade alert up. Sorry, back to here. Yes, the 23rd of January. And so I really like this one, though. It certainly is possible that it's already done some of the buying, and it's just going to settle for a bit before the buying starts again. So you'd have to maybe be willing to have your stop loss down a little bit lower, start with a smaller position, and then You know, if it proves you right, add on to it more, but it depends on your risk tolerance. And I like to buy them and leave my stops way lower. Sometimes I buy them and I put my striated sell orders way above, and I don't have a stop loss below. I am willing to hold it. I'm waiting. I believe in this stuff, and I think that we're at the right moment in time to be setting things up and doing nothing. This is sometimes the hardest part, is to do nothing. Fuel, gas, and go. Can I remember that far in advance? Fuel. Nice. Really looking great. Nice springboard pattern entry textbook, where we have the larger 1, 2, 3. We have the smaller 1, 2, 3 here with the looks great. And the volume profile looks better, where it's all quiet, and then it's building here and now building again just at this last while. I like it. Fuel, gas was the next one. This isn't got the nice volume profile that other ones have. It's got a nice consolidating triangle here, so the order stays good, but it isn't building as much as the other ones that I like better. Just doesn't have the volume. Go, same thing, just doesn't have the big volume coming along with the chart pattern. The chart pattern is there, so there's the trade signal, but it doesn't have some of the other qualities of some of the other alerts. So EVX doesn't get to stay open, right? It was pretty good, but not. No, I like it. I'm going to leave that one open. So all the goodest ones I'm going to leave open. GVT, and I'll come back and close them if they don't match. We'll see how that goes. GVT. All right, looking pretty good. And look at the big buys of volume, and then stopping. So it leads me to think that there's some news coming on, or somebody who's in the know with some bucks is loading up before this thing takes off. But it's a nice formation here. Okay, Kieran, glad you liked the got stuck putting in popcorn trade orders. Awesome. I'm glad you liked the date change. It was driving me nuts when I went in there and I was switching it. It was close, but not working quite. All right. So this one's good, but not at the top of the list. GXS actually hit us in. So this is a hold now and should be in a different spot in the spreadsheet. So if I bring this over and I go down to GXS, this should be a hold now. And change to a hold on the 25th. No, actually the 24th, because I missed it, I guess. And then I'll switch this to green. And that is updated and changed into the other spreadsheet. Let me change the date here to the 25th. Get that out of the way. That's GXS. So, I like the formation. Not as great as some of the others, but there's a good step of volume all of a sudden. I'd like to see volume build up more, but I put that order in right close, and we'll see how that one goes over time, and then we can study it. Not one of the best though. IOTX. And if it doesn't match, then I close it up. IOTX. There's some good ones in the IO or something of others. It's okay. It still is a trade alert, and actually the longer it stays under here, the better, the more quality this alert becomes. But not one of the best. So I'll close that up. KNC. I'm going to switch this back so I can see the chats. KNC. It's great. Nice springboard trade entry. It actually touched us in here. So let me bring this back over and go to KNC and update that to a hold on the 24th, I think. Maybe the 25th, but close. For studies afterwards, change it to green just for my own eye so I can see what percentage at a glance. Now, what about KNC? It is a great springboard trade entry. Stages and stages down, and I like the volume pattern down here better. It's more steady volume. So that bodes well for the market here as well. So KNC, I'm going to leave that open as one of the better ones. Let's go see Loom now as the next in our alerts. Loom is great. Look at this all the way from August, September, all the way through here, August, November and December. This is one of those coins that, and the steady volume all the way along. It's made a great bottom formation and it's tightened up very closely for us. So we can get in easily because it's made such a range now for the last 6 weeks. Well, a month and 5 weeks maybe. It's really... So this is a range traders platform where you could be buying in here, selling at the top, buying in here, selling at the top. It's great theory, hard to do. And one of the things I like to do with the range trading is either to buy on the breakout or wait for it to come back and retest this level. And if it shows strength after that, then I like to buy in right there. If it shows weakness and goes back into this range, you know it was just a fake out breakout and you saved yourself the pain that we just experienced in the other coin just earlier that was a fake out breakout and turned into a loss right away. So there's a different method to entry, and again, that requires a driver at the time of trade alert notification. Then you have to be there deciding against all of these different options that I'm trying to review here. But I like this one. I'm going to leave this one as one of the favorites. So I'll leave that open. How about Mana? And again, the chat is open, so if you have any questions or any specific markets, let me know. Mana, same. We've got this downtrend. We've got a little 1, 2, 3 bottom consolidating right at historical levels, recent as it is in September. But still, it's at this above the same levels as September. Those are very few coins that are down to the August levels, stayed September, October, and now we're at those levels again. That shows strength relative to everything else just by being at the same levels rather than lower, which most everything else went along with Bitcoin. So that bodes well for this trade, and I'm going to leave that open as a good one. Got to move this out of the way again. So we've got... what was that, 3 in a row? Let's go to MDA. MDA is not one of the favorite ones, even though, it's making this great consolidation and it could be taking off from here. It's just kind of looking soft at the end right now. The trade alert probably would still stand. Just checking Bitcoin. This is the 1 hour. It's not broken too sharply. Ethereum, Litecoin. None of them really breaking off higher, and that's required now. And Stellar. I wanted to take a look at the original for MDA. So it was just building this. Where's this? 2400. Let me go and research that one later. I'll have to double check that because that should have been triggered and probably dumped already. Maybe I fixed that already this morning. On with the show. This one, if that's an alert, it's not a strong one. Just by looking at the way this is still, it's got a long ways to go before it's going to be turning it momentum and going the other way. So let's minimize those. MTH, I don't believe it's going to be a strong looking turnaround, but I'm kind of wrong. Look at these patterns of volume building up before this spike. Now we've come back and we've got a second chance at the entry, and there's a bunch of volume coinciding. So if the entry is above the 670 region, that's a plenty good spot to be thinking about watching for a trade entry. I'd like to see it do a build up again like this, where it's like an ascending wedge triangle. And that would be the buyout. You would still be caught into this one. That's a tough one. I like it again because it's above these levels from September. So this is another, it's really good. Actually, I'm going to leave it as one of their better ones. Encash, not expecting it. Encash. Actually, not too bad. We have 3 lower lows. It's not making a great bottom formation. It could blast off. They all could. You never know. But it's not making the formations that I like to see best. So now we'll go on to NEBL and open up the next POE. Nebel. Okay, still looking good. It's still a nice formation. It's got kind of not bad volume, so I'm going to have to close that one down. It's kind of good. It's not bad. That's not enough to cut it. POE. POA. That's already tagged us in. But the alert is POE. And there's another one. Look at this. It's September lows right down to these levels. So a break above this on a springboard trade entry would be valid. We just have to wait for it. There's a lot of them that are building up, and I like them, but we have to wait for them. It's not one of my, wow, jump on that favorites. PPT, I'm not expecting this to be one of my favorites either. Not really, but you can see that I've got right close into this formation here and then put the trade in expecting that, there's pressure, there's power coming into the market. This is going to be going somewhere. So let me now put this one in there. PPT. Okay, I've got it green as a hold and written as an alert. Not one of my favorites though. QKC. QKC. It was an alert. I'm not sure if it was tagged in or not. By the look of this, it was. 1182. It could, well, maybe 1182. I don't think so. But I'm going to take it out of alert status right now. If this turns around and starts to build again, then that would be continuing as an alert. But I'm just going to delete that, and it'll no longer show up next time you refresh that chart. It won't come up as one of the alerts to be watching right now. Maybe in a few days it'll come back, but not right now. Let me get this out of the way as well. It's how many times I've clicked on that. Now Litecoin is fading a bit. Bitcoin is at the edge of this dip. This is looking bearish. Ren. Okay, it's got an alert on it because it's made this formation, but it's not building up to be one of my favorite. The volume pattern doesn't really do it justice. REN. Taking that out of alert status as well. Edit, delete values. It could be an alert, but it's not got enough meat in it. It's not enough history in that market for me to make a judgment on. I don't know enough about it, so I'm going to just take it out of there. That'll disappear. REQ. All right, this is a better looking chart formation. This is a nice springboard entry all the way from August all the way till now. I like this one. So this I'm going to leave open as one of the top ones and look on to RLC. RLC. Okay, we've been tagged into RLC. Drag this back over, go to RLC, change that to a hold on the 25th, I'll say. I turn it green here just for my own eyes. And we're on to Raven. RVN is our next alert. So RVN was an alert. It was looking pretty good, but it's I'm going to take it out of Alertville for now. Did we get hit? 394, 414. What was our entry? 441. So we didn't get hit. And at 441, it could be, but I'm going to take it out of alert status now and maybe put it back in there in a few days. But right now, the way it's faded off, it's not to be on that list. Edit, delete values. Better delete these ones too, because there is nothing to. And this is changed to a watch status. Now we're on to Siacoin SNM. SNM? So who thought of that name? Siacoin. Okay, the alert stays there above 82 because when this starts to go, it usually takes right off. So I want to keep an alert going on in this market. S. This one's looking pretty good too. I like the buying volume. I like how it's picked up. How the price has stayed pretty close to earlier in the year. I ignore this big spike down. I've seen a few of those in Binance now, and they don't seem to mean much, except that you got screwed if you had your stops there. 1, 2, 3. If this breaks above again, sure, it would be an alert. One of my favorites is no. Now Storm, Strat, and Sys. Storm we were looking at the other day. Somebody was asking about it, and sure, it's looking great. It's not as fantastic as others because it's come down this stage, but it is making the 1, 2, 3. A break above these levels would be a buy, so that alert stays, but we just got to wait for it to actually do its thing. Strat and Sys, not one of my biggest. I want to save those. Strat and Sys. All right, Strat was a buy as this was looking like it was aiming to go higher, and it still would be a buy if it got up to those levels, but hard to keep it on the alert list and be watching it sharply. You just quickly look at it and go, okay, well, not today, maybe if it turns around. Syscoin, same thing. It's got these nice candles to the upside. It's had them all the way along. If it breaks above these levels, sure, it would be a buy, but it's not standing out as like something I should note and as one of my favorites. Now let's go into Time New Bank, then VET, Vetcoin, TNB. It is setting up, but it's going to take a while longer. I like the volume pattern here, then the volume pattern here. There's some big players taking positions in this. So it breaks above these levels would be good for a small bit of a position, but it is prone to fake out breakouts. So then having a small position right as it stands right now and putting your sell orders in all the way up to these levels would be a different strategy. And really that would be pretty phenomenal for it to jump up to 2100. You could have your sell orders all laid out up in advance and then just sit back and wait. This is part of the popcorn strategy is to buy when it's at its very lowest and put your sell orders out and take that risk. So they're small trades, but they could have a great return. So in short, this stays as an alert, but pay attention to it. It's not a heavily traded market. It'll go quick and come back quick. So not a favorite for a long-term trend. Maybe, but VET is next. Okay, I kind of like it. It really made a drop. Good bounce. Now it's made a great formation that has taken... Oh, there's our August 13th low. They had that shitty timing to open their thing just as everything was coming to these lows. September lows, October lows, November lows, all the way down. Now it's made a great bottom formation. I like the volume pattern in this than a lot of the other coins that we've been looking at. So this will remain as one of those few favorites, actually. And I wasn't expecting it. But now when I see this chart pattern and the volume pattern and the little history it does have, I like it. OneCoin is another one of our alerts. And look at the volume in this compared to so many of the other currencies. Steady as she goes. Almost stayed to the same price levels. Now we have 3 lower lows though, so it's got to turn around and give me more juice. It's not one of my favorites. Maybe it is a buy signal above those levels, but I want it to give me more base. This is good. We've got this low in September. Nice run up and pull back. Now it's consolidating. I'm not as keen about the volume pattern in this as everything else. It's kind of pretty light. So it doesn't match up to be one of the top. XVG had a lot of interest at the beginning. Lots of volume patches, but not steady volume usage. And then some big investor interest in it. So, yeah, if it breaks above these levels, that would be a buy signal. In fact, this is a really great setup. Looking like if I do this, then we can see the nice on balance volume 3 different times, nice and strong, not lower on each one. So that's good. That shows some strength is coming into this one, and I'll leave that as one of the favorites. I wasn't expecting that either. ZRX. All right, so this is definitely a springboard entry where we have the number 1, 2. This would be our number 3 point, but it's turned into a tiny little 1, 2, 3 right in our number 3 point. And that brings our entry signal way down. Instead of waiting for the whole 1, 2, 3 bottom formation to shape up, now we're getting in on this little 1, 2, 3, sort of a swing trader's verification in a way. And so yeah, that signal would be good as well. Trade volume. Okay, yeah. It's got some pretty consistent buying in going on back then, so that could come again. Yeah, I'll leave it as leave it open as one of the favorites. So what do we get out of this? I didn't do that for the very beginning ones. I would have said that for basic attention token. And I think I would have said it for CDN and decreed as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 out of those 40 that I consider to be some of the top. Where is Discord? So I want BAT, CND, whoops, shit. Decreed, DGD for sure. EVX, I'd have to double check that. KNC, kind of have to double check it. Loom, pretty sure. Mana, surprised, but I have to put it there. Same, a few of these are surprises to me. MTH, VET, XVG, wow. and ZRX. So those are what I think are the premium alerts. There. So break time if you wish. Then I'm going to review our Binance wins. So we're up 1,040% when we add together all of the wins on Binance right now, and we're down 161%. So overall, we're up 800%, we could say, in all of the Binance trades that are open right now. Binance closed. Sure, I have to do it. Here it is. 506% for all of the closed trades. All of the losses added together is 506%. So we're still up 300% after all of these losses here in December, which of course they were, as we're going through and I'm explaining, these are losses that wouldn't be this big if you were actually trading the trading plan and using rule number 1 properly. These losses would never be this big. And many of these trades we would have opted to say, I'm just not taking it. It was a great trade alert, but it doesn't match up to my requirements. It doesn't have this in the RSI. It doesn't have this in the on-balance volume. I don't see the build up to that alert the way I would like to see it. It's too quick. It's too shallow. It's just going to be a fake out breakout. You know, all of those things need to be humanly reviewed against all the trading plans before you ever execute one of these. So this is really the worst case scenario of implementing this plan. And we're still up 300% after all of the wins and all of the losses and all of the closed trades put together. So that's awesome. And it's going to get much better. Now, the thing I want to go through on all of these is to see where should our stop losses be. Now, we've gone through enough of our trading signals to, we know where all the bottom formations are. In fact, we've mapped them all out. They are virtually all, if I go to the Binance Watch and we see things that are white, these are things that don't have any action on it. There's very few of them. Almost everything is either an alert or an open trade already. More than 2/3, I would say, of Binance has already changed from, or at least been close enough that we could call it something to watch for a breakout or something that's already started to break out. So we have these first wave of winners. And I don't have the dates updated in this yet. I have to go through and manually change all of those formatting so that we get the date of the entry and the date of the exit on the trade, and we should be able to sort it then by these two different dates. But I have to manually go through each one later. And what I'm wanting to do in reviewing the dates is so that we can start to see when, if I go to the Binance wins, and we're looking at these 176%, 58%, 47%, 88%, what was the date of that trade starting? So we can see on average, we had the first wave of cryptos all taking off around the 13th to the 17th of December, 16th, the 11th, the 13th. Then we had a few more stragglers came along on the 22nd and 23rd, was pretty significant actually. And then it's been a while. We've had a couple in January, just a few stragglers coming along in January, but now I'm watching for the next wave at the end of January, beginning of February, to see which are the next wave of those alerts that are going to be coming into vogue next. O LMNOP ONT. Okay, why isn't this on the alerts? I love having the spreadsheet to just quickly go down and see everything about each different market. ONT. Okay, that's because it's already a hold. So we must have, what did we get in at? 16,764. All right, got in pretty good. Must have been right in here. As it came back and made this consolidation, there's a springboard entry that buy in and just hang on. So rule number one, you got to massage it for your own trading, for the pattern, for every different market, depending on how it's set itself up at that moment. It gives you the sort of the flavor of the month, the flavor of the moment. But this is looking great. 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, moving averages just coming up to crossover. It's breaking the downtrend line. Oh my goodness. I love it. Thank you for bringing this up, Limar. This is just starting to go. And that formation is huge. That's massive. To see what it's done in the past, and then it's come and done this classic technical analysis pattern, and then to make this bottom formation, it's just like a moment in time that you watch for, and you look back on the charts and you can see them and think, oh, if only I was trading when the markets were doing that. And now here we are. Oh, great question, AOL Chandra. Sometimes there are so many alerts showing up all of a sudden, and you have limited funding at that moment. In this case, what's your criteria for selecting coins to buy? I paper trade them in my own mind. I also have a limited, all of us have limited funding, and we could easily divide our 100% up into all the coins right away, and we'd be sitting there with all of our investments done and nothing else to do. And so I find that I can't trade all of these either, but I want to observe all of them. I want to paper trade all of them. I want to run this spreadsheet as though that's where I would have gotten in. This is where I would have gotten out. This is what I'm, and I just do this strategy all the time. And then whichever ones I am holding, I play them out as though a real deck of cards. And then I implement these strategies on the ones I'm holding. Sometimes when I get profits in ones that I'm holding, I'll take those profits and I redivert it into one of these markets that I see as such an awesome opportunity. Then I'll take some of my profits and move it over to something like that. So I just keep the money moving from opportunity to opportunity as I can. And then I don't fret the rest of them. I can't do them all, but I can paper trade them all. I can put a spreadsheet together. I can run this in my mind to say, okay, this is where I would have gotten in. Now I write it down, and my mind is being trained that I know how to make money work for me. Even if I don't actually make those profits, I nailed it. I knew that this was the chart pattern. I wrote it down. I said that this is exactly when I would get out. You know that in the future, as this stuff is coming up, you'll be ready for it. And it may not be in cryptocurrencies. You may branch out into stocks. You may branch out into commodities. You may branch out into many different equity markets that are charted like this, and they all follow similar patterns with the technical analysis. Hey Kieran, good to have you here. And yeah, I like sharing all this stuff. It's great. The more I share, the more I learn, the more my brain becomes embroiled with these things in bronze or whatever. And I tell the story all the time, but from 2009 to 2013, I spent 4 years doing these kind of videos on markets in RuneScape. And I became fabulously wealthy. So now I'm pretty convinced, even before I started, that I was going to make some great profits when I was trading cryptocurrencies. I was lucky I was in at the right time, and now we're all lucky right now with these chart patterns. This is it. This is what I wait for. So that's partly why I'm so excited is to do all this, because it's time for me to make the money. The more I help other people, the more it helps me. It's great. Now, thank you for the alert on ONT, Limar. You've been fantastic in our Discord channel for keeping the conversation going. OZK Dog, great to have you there. Donuts. Crypto, good to have you along. And AOL Chandra, you've been a fantastic help here. Android, I hope you're watching along and that you are doing your paper trading. Even if you're doing this with $5, everybody should be doing this. Teach your brain that money works for you. Take that $5, turn it. I don't know. I haven't told this story in a while. I was at a party in 2015, and I told my friend, I just turned 50 cents into $5. And he looked at me and said, oh, that's awesome. Now you can buy me a beer. And I was thinking, no, man, you don't get it. I just did 10 times on my money. So later I took that $5 and I turned it into 25. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. 5 times my money. And I continued to do that over and over, and I just kept growing it. It can be done, and we're at the time for it. And I'm excited to share this, and I'm looking forward to your profit stories. I'm looking forward to your success stories. So part of me wants to look at all of these coins that are profitable to see if let me go to alerts. This is a pretty low budge page, but when it finishes loading up here, we can see what our top earning alerts are. 176% for DLT, 111% for Link, 88% for LRC, 72% for TRX. And I'm thinking, these are great profits. Are they making top formations? Are they coming down from here? Is this something like October 26th when everything was all making these great breakout appearing patterns and there was some great profits and then that all disappeared? So then I go back to the 4 and I'm looking to see, oh, come on, Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin, make a decision and start moving along. Then everything else can follow one way or another. And so I want to go through these great looking profit coins and see what are they telling us right now. So I'm going to go back to Binance wins and I'm going to go alphabetically, and it's going to take a while. That's too far away. ADA. So the question is this a top formation? Should we be selling out? Yes or no? Wow, kind of maybe on this one. AGI. Is this a top formation? No. This is definitely a hold on to and going up from here. This is a really great formation. One of my favorites. You could buy into it right now. This is also an alert as much as a buy or a hold. ARK. This one, that's a hold. That's a fantastic. If we got into this early and we're still profitable on that, huge. We're up 14% on that trade. Just got in on the springboard trade and we stayed in it and it's great. So that's 2 out of 3 that are keep holding them. That's not looking like a top. Whoops. Next one is BNB. That's a hold. We got into this one out of this consolidation triangle here. As it was breaking above these levels, making this ascending wedge triangle, we said, okay, we buy. It came up and retested those levels, and we could have bought again here. This would have been a tough one because of how it pulled back, but up it went. So we're standing pretty on that one, up 19%. And no look at selling out of that one yet. Just the stop loss just above the entry and sitting back and waiting to see what goes on. This could be huge. BQX. Okay, so we got in on another great entry there. Prices surged like mad and have pulled back, but way above us. So nothing doing here. Just sit back and watch that one. So far, everything is all honky-dory on these things. There's nothing to do. Put the stop above the entry and just wait for now. DLT, there's another great one. Put the stop above the entry and just hang out. And it's consolidated and broke up to another level. So nothing to do here. That's not looking like a top formation on DLT. DNT is another profitable one, and it is right now, it's up only 2.6%. So we just got into this one and it's looking great. It's looking like it's building power. So all of these alts so far are looking bullish still. Now this is the first one that's got a trend line that you could actually draw on here to say, if it broke this trend line, that would be a sell signal. Because we have the 1, 2, 3 top formation. This would be the sell if it broke below that. That's how these sell formations work, is that the trend line is the most important moment. We'll always have the number 1, then the number 2, and then it'll break the trend line. It's opposite to what we see when we're studying a downtrend line. However, the on-balance volume certainly says that there's a lot more coming into this market. And so we're up on this one 2.6%, and our stop loss is still down below our entry. So we're still sitting on this one waiting. We just got into it. But rule number 1 would kick in. If this broke below this trend line now that I identified that, I would say, okay, never mind. I'll just start again. I'll wait for this to wobble around more and I'll start again afterwards. ENJ is another one of ours. Then EOS is next. So ENJ we got into early out of this bottom formation. Our stop loss is above our entry and there's nothing to do. Another one that is a great trade. It doesn't look like it's telling us to get out. But if I do take a moment and draw, kind of has this trend line, but certainly had a trend line here. And when did that trend line break? The 30th, we'll say, of December. Let's keep that in mind for other markets to see if we have more of those on the 30th of December. But right now, so this would be sell out, get out. If it comes down below, you could, or just leave the stop loss above the entry and just hang out. I'll leave the stop loss. EOS, we got in on this crazy little wee bottom formation. It's turned out great. It's consolidating. I would say this is a hold and an add-on if it breaks out of this range. So that's another good one. You know, that we haven't seen a whole sloth of them that's saying to sell, 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 that the formations are breaking and everything. So here we got into the fantastic entry, like it's just huge. And then our stop loss is just above our entry point and just sitting back, and it gave us lots of room all the way through this whole down time to not even worry because we got in such an early spot. Now, what's it going to do? No idea on that, but again, it's not a sell out of position. Actually, it is very close to selling out. Lower than this would be a legitimate place to sell out. Since it's landed on these levels so many times, a lot of people would be selling out at that time, but it would be legit for sure. Just from the chart patterns and the history all the way back here, a break below those levels would be, well, there's still some cushion underneath it. Anyway, nothing to do for our trade for where we got into it. GTO is another profitable trade. So Ethereum, we're up 14%. GTO, we're up 14%. Another bottom formation, breakout, and was strong. Keep your stop just above your entry and let it do its thing now. We got in at like crazy perfect time at this bottom formation. Crazy. And it's up 14%, so there's nothing to do there. HC, I think we're up 14% on this trade. And wow, crazy bottom formation to get into here and hold sideways. A much better entry to have waited till after this breakout here. Would have been difficult with this big skewer backwards, but at any rate, this one is still holding profitable. The stop is just above the entry and we're at 21% profit on that. Hot. So that one's not a sell signal. Well, this is good. Up we went. We got into this one nicely just the other day at 26 Satoshi. And this is showing us it's at 27 Satoshi right now. That's for the Binance data. Let me refresh that data. 27. So what are we seeing now that we're at 3.85%? Reload the data. Most of the time it's pretty up to date. Binance wins. We saw that it was at, now it's at 21.9%, so that the price has been updated. Well, maybe not. It's up to 7%. Anyway, still profitable, taking off. Not even going to move the stop up yet. I could move it up to 22 just as a risk. 19 maybe. Just sure. 19. Oh, I can't do it on this sheet. I'll do it later. You guys can't see that. All right. I'm working on it in the other monitor. Okay, brain freeze. INS is the next one in our list. I love this chart in INS. It's giving us some weakness at the top here as well. Breaking these levels would be a sell signal all the way along this thing, but it's given such a ascending wedge triangle that breaks higher from this would be really bullish for me. I like this chart pattern. So it's a hold. It has the potential of being a sellout. So I don't know, we've had 4 or 5 out of the 16 that we've gone through so far that are giving us that kind of feel of, here's another one that now 6, that it's got such a straight line here that if it's breaking down below that, that is bearish. That is like a sell signal. And we got into this market in a good place. We could put our stop loss just above our entry and hold out and see. You could leave your stop loss back a little bit and give this room to go back to its 50% level and retest this. You know, that would be a technically good range to give it. We'll have to see what happens with IOST, because that is one of the few now that is looking like if it broke below that, that's a sell signal. Next one we have is Link that we are holding in this. And we got into Link out of this consolidation. So it made this big run up. This is when Glenn was first talking about it, or Gil, sorry. And it started its way up, made this top formation, retraced and pulled back, and made this consolidation. We were talking about it. And then it became a springboard entry, a trend continuation entry pattern. We got a good entry there. And so for our official trading, this still stays as a hold, because we'd have our stop loss just above our entry and just be sitting back to see what does the market end up actually doing. We want to give it the room to do a retest of these levels before going up way up to the next stages. For this entry that we got, we're really lucky with it. And then we just want to hold it and give the market room to do its thing and not worry about it for this trading plan. Another trading plan would be much closer into this market and take that profit now and look for a re-entry in a different place. But for the trading plan that we're really focusing on here, it's the super long term and erroring on the side of preparing for the super long term, which would mean that if this is as high as it's going to go, and I leave my stop loss back here, giving it all that room, and then we get into this downtrend where it starts to do this, do this, do this. I've had all this profit and I gave it all away if this is what ends up happening. And that's the risk that I'm willing to take now that I've been proven correct. I want to see how correct I am, and I want to leave it the error on that side of leaving space for those super long, huge, big moves. Yeah, that does come up. by this point in the video, you've already been saying it. You said, well, that's a hold. There's nothing to do there. You see that there's a nice breakout. The nice trading volume. Prices are up. We move our stop loss above our entry, and now we just sit on our hands. There's nothing to do. And I kind of like this part of trading a trend, but I kind of don't, because there's gets to be nothing to do. Once you have all your positions in place and the market's going in your favor, and you look at it and go, yeah, there's all these other opportunities, but I can't sell out of that one yet because it's going. You know, then there's a lot of just sitting. Whereas from August until now, we've been working and working, watching for the bottom, watching for the bottom, watching for the bottom. Finally, we have the bottom, and our work is finished. There's nothing else to do. Hopefully. I'm really wanting that part of the market phase. So we've got a good bowl shape here. Are we going to get a cup with handle and then a blast off? But our Litecoin trade entry, we were crazy. It was this little 1, 2, 3 bottom formation down here. A lot of these things from the 14th, the 11th, 14th to the 17th of December were really great entries. And we just put our stop loss above our spot and just sitting there watching. This would have been a spot to add on, actually, as it came out of this ascending wedge triangle, then came back and retested the larger 1, 2, 3 bottom here. Now it's made a little 1, 2, 3 and a consolidation and broken higher from there. So these are the one of the two different times. I love this example because it shows this is one of the two times to be buying out of these breakout formations. The other time is just right now as it comes back and retests these levels and then is showing strength. Now we know it's not a fake out breakout that's going to continue down further, so far anyway. And I like to see this example and happy to be able to point it out to. Next one is Loon. This is another profitable trade we have. And sure, it's a great bottom formation. Nothing to do. We got into such an early place on this and lucked out really. It came back and retested these levels. Off it went. So our stop loss is just above our entry and there's nothing to do. We just sit on our hands for this one too. So it's not telling us to get out. It's not giving us that sell signal. Here's another one that we got in early, and it didn't do quite as well as everything else yet, but it's still building up nice. I like the volume pattern. And since it's profitable, nothing to do. You know, your stop loss is above your entry, and you let the market do its thing now. Neo, I've seen some terrible press about online lately, and it's actually making a pretty negative pattern here. 1, 2, 3 top formation, so sort of candles to the downside. So it is, where are we, profitable on that? Up 3%. Our stop is at minus 3%. So we're just hanging out sideways here on this one. And our stop is so close now that I'll just ignore it and leave it. NXS, but it's one of the few that's actually looking like a real sell. Well, I don't know, maybe 6 of them that like NXS as well. If it breaks this trend line, this is where we were saying before, that's a sell signal. And it came down and made a new one. But it's also topped out here pretty clear. So that's one of the few. There's another 6 maybe or 7 that are looking top formation-ish in our profitable holding trades. NXS, we're up 31% and our stop loss is just above our entry down here. So we're still going to give it all this room to move and just ignore it. It's profitable. There's nothing to do. That's what the mistake I'm trying to make on purpose. Here's the bottom formation, our breakout, where stop loss is above it. Nothing to do here in OAX as well. ONT is one of our holds where we got into it early and we know now, right now, it's taking off, it looks like. So this is definitely a continue to hold and not a sell signal building up. Overall, I'm getting the feeling that most of the things that we got into early like this are still holding up above it and they're not looking like they're coming down like a fake out breakout. Next, I want to take a look at Quantum, and then we go on to Rep, but we already know Quantum. That's right about where I got into Quantum, and it was taking off. It was fantastic, and I couldn't get into it. It consolidated and took off before I could see the consolidation. I couldn't get into it, and then it made this consolidation. I said, yeah, right there. Boom, off it took. Never came back to fully retest that level, and it's been going sideways and got all the bull patterns to it right now. However, a break below these levels would be a sell signal, would be a get out signal. So the stop in this one is just above the entry, nothing to do. Give the market its time to do it. Rep, we saw this ascending wedge triangle. It was looking good. I wasn't really believing in it, except that it had some news about a really good upgrade and update to its systems for doing trading and betting. Boom, off it went. And this is a great trade. We got our stop just above our entry. Nothing to do on rep. So it's another one that's not looking like it's ready to just sell and dump down and everything all dive off from here. The more of these, the better for the overall crypto market. Sky, must have got into this out of a springboard trade entry on this move. I like the trade volume on this. Apparently it's profitable, otherwise it wouldn't be on this list. It's up 1.5%. Yeah, 1.15%. So we're just barely profitable on this trade, and it's not looking like a sell. This is looking like it's building up to go. So that's what I'm sort of wanting to do. Here's another one out of 7 now, maybe 8, that have enough of an uptrend, enough of a stable top, kind of a double top almost, at historical support and resistance, that this could be a consolidation and a pullback time for them back to their normal 50% levels, which would be great because it gives us a much bigger, solid 1, 2, 3 bottom formation if these things do create a formation like that. SNT, kind of a wild one for sure, but we've got our stop loss just above our entry. Yep, so it may kick us out soon, but we're there. And then we reevaluate that one because it's pretty wild. Steam, same thing. Nice bottom formation here after a massive forever downtrend here. And then it really broke out and higher. We got our stop loss just above our entry. So we're guaranteed 1% profit. It's up 21%, and we can just cross our hands. Theta. All right, we're into this one, and it looks like it's going up. It's staging up from here, so nothing to do from there. There's no big alarming bunch of sell signals all turning up at the same time. This one we must have got into it out of a very small formation for TNT, but it's not looking like it's going down for a sell. TRX, this one we got into another ascending wedge triangle that was building up for, I don't know, 2 weeks almost, and then boom, off it went. This one is, okay, I'd say 9 of the markets now that have given us enough of a move, and then they're making a potential double top formation or what have you at important support and resistance levels. The next thing to do from this is to bring in the on balance volumes a little bit lower. The RSI is kind of diverging, so it's weaker on the second bump. And this may pull back into its middle levels as well, and that would be pretty normal. Our stop is just above our entry. Nothing to do on this one. A good trade, and it would be quite normal and not alarming for it to come back and retest these levels. In fact, it would be a really good thing in the long-term stable establishment of a bottom formation to have a big pullback, an internal 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, a break above that, and then an ascending wedge triangle before the breakout above that. This would be a massive momentum changer to see this in a whole bunch of these really key markets, this same formation, if we are coming up to that. TNT, we already looked at that. VIB and then VIB and then Vibe. All right, still, that's 3-month view. Yeah, it's a great, we bought into it. We're holding it sideways. It's still building. The on-balance volume is looking fantastic. Let me switch this to this view again, bigger chart. Vibe, great, nice formation, good springboard trade entry. It blasted up and never came back to retest it and showing strength again. So over and over again, there's very few that are showing us really big bearish. All these ones that we're holding, they're all looking good. They're all holding, keep holding me. Signals. Wings is another one. We had a great springboard trade entry, blasted off. Yo-Yo and ZIL are the last two that we have as profitable holds. Yo-Yo, so we got into this, pulled back a little bit, all great, nothing to do there. ZIL, oh, here's the number 10 now, I would say, that has this moved up enough. It's created some sort of top formation here, 3 tops. Let's see what our on-balance our relative strength index is changed compared to those tops. Our on-balance volume is decreasing all the way along here. So that looks more like a top. But again, when you zoom out, even if it comes back to the 50% level from here, that's all well and good. And then give us that ascending wedge triangle before the burst above there, and we are golden. So this is all still not looking bad. On all of these markets on general, all the ones that we're holding as profitable trades would still be good to hold. And then we have our profitable trades. Then over here we have the trades that have a negative open profit and loss. And you can see they're 5%, 10%, just in between the buy price and the stop loss order. And all of these, you know that they're going to be making those bottom formations, and we've been touched in and it's pulled back a little bit, but the bottom formations are probably all looking really good. And it is worth it to hold on to these and see where they go. So I like this review because now I've done an update for all of the alerts and all of the markets that we are holding that are profitable, so that we know whereabouts we stand in the bull market. And it still seems good. It still seems we're right at the turnaround, and we should be holding these positions as we are in. And it's just a matter of patience now to wait for everything to go through everything. And so that about wraps it up for this live stream. And I want to do more of these unlisted live streams that are just one-on-one, and go through, especially this week now, we have to go through parts of the course that I left for everybody to do on their own, but I checked the stats and not a lot of people have gone through the steps of that stuff in the course. So I want to have a live session where we are going through all of that and covering it before we get into the content for next week, because we need this content for next week. We're already coming up to it with all of these winning trades and all these profitable trades. We have to be watching now for where is the official add-on spot for many of these coins that have come up. Here's a good example. Let me clear all the drawing off of it. A pretty good example where prices have come up. Right, we had our buy signal, I'll say likely right here, out of this 1, 2, 3. There's our buy signal. Came back and retested it. It's come up and topped out a little bit. It could come back and retest those levels again. Would we add on there? Or would we wait for this consolidation to add on there? Would we wait for it to come up these levels and pull back and then add on? All sorts of questions to ask and strategies to have in place before you're trading so that you're ready for it when the opportunity comes up. I don't even know if there's anybody watching. I've just been going on. I have been watching chats. Okay, we have 8 people. I didn't do TNB. Time New Bank. Well, this is like, if this isn't an alert, it should be an alert. It's not making a great, perfect 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, but it's making a bowl shape enough. It's making a 1, 2, 3 here, and a break above these levels fits all of the criteria for the simple trading plan. We have the moving averages. We're looking at the 12-hour bars. That would be, if we're not already into this trade, this would be an alert for sure. And I kind of like the trading volume all the way along since I like it. Like earlier in the year when there was some activity, there was good volume, and then it dried up as everything was going down. But even as it's going down, the biggest candles we see are buying, people buying, big candles of buying. So there is some agreement with the community that this project has some merit, and you can see it in the charts. You can see it with people who are in the know are picking up coin. Let's see here. 1 hour, 35 minutes. And I think we went through a ton of good stuff here. I want to do these unlisted videos just for the members and just for the alerts service. And because you guys have supported me, I want to support you guys. I want to make sure that you get all of the training, you need at the moment you need it. So feel free to bug me. We can set these up a lot more often and have the unlisted things. They're just a lot less work for me to set up. And I can just go on about whatever you're asking, and we can make these markets work for us. I like it. This isn't freaking me out as it's coming down to these levels. The change of momentum, the change of this shape is subtle, but it still gives me that bullish feeling. Even though it's coming back, it feels like it's lost downward momentum, like it's accelerating up. It's going down less quickly. So we'll see how this turns out. But I've been wanting to do this video for a while to go over all the things that we have as profits, to say, should we be getting out of them? What should we be doing now that we have these trades that are up 40%? What do you do? You know, I want to be available for that 800%, the 1200, the 4000%. Those kind of gains that we saw in 2017 are on their way. And I want to be sure that we are prepared to avail ourselves of them and we're not jumping out too quickly. This is going to be the real key. Is the hardest part, is to be right and then sit tight and just sit and just find other ways to make more cryptocurrencies to add into it at different times, rather than getting out of positions. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to go over anything you'd like about the alerts package on the website, about anything at all. In the meantime, I will sign off. I'm going to update some of my own trading spreadsheets, but let's zoom into the 5-minute views here, because this is where the story is unfolding. This is the edge of the train. This is the point of the arrow. Where's Binance? DLT is up 33%. Nulls is up 22%. RLC Viacoin is up 8%. Vibe, Wings, AGI, this is one of my favorites. ONT, 4%. Walton Coins up almost 2%. Endless. I love it. Great to have you guys along. I'll sign off for now, and I'll see you in Discord. I'm happy to do it, Fallon. Let's do more of these. Now that I've figured out or refigured out how to do this in unlisted mode, I can just post it in our Discord chat, and it's just for us. I'll sign off for now and wish you all the best for everybody. Love, health, happiness. Cheers.